it's Camilla, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books of 2015. So, the year just came to an end, and this year I read 79 books, which isn't as well as I did the year before when I read 101, but I had major reading slumps this whole year, so I'm just happy I got in as many books as I did. So today I'm going to be telling you my 5 best books of 2015 and the 5 runner-ups. Now, these aren't books that were released this year or even recently necessarily, just the books that I read this year that I personally loved. So let's start with the runner-ups. These are in no particular order. First up, I have Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I loved this book. I actually loved all the runner-up books, but I told myself I could only pick 5 to be my favorite. So this one didn't quite make the cut. I actually enjoyed Heir of Fire more than I did Queen of Shadows, but it was still really, really good, and I need to see what happens in the next book. Another runner-up is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I really liked this book. I know a lot of people really liked this book, and that's because it was really good. I just read so many good books this year. If you don't know, I'll Give You the Sun is about twins. When they're 13, they're close, but when they're 16, they're not really speaking, and so each twin tells one part of the story. I felt like Jude got a good ending in this book, but I could have used one more Noah chapter. Overall, I found Noah's story a lot more interesting than Jude's, but I loved the book. I think I gave it a 5 stars out of 5 stars, so definitely awesome. My next honorable mention is Winter by Marissa Meyer. This is the 4th and final book in the Lunar Chronicles, and it was really good. I read this in almost one sitting. I had plans right in the middle of the day I was reading it, and actually, it wasn't in the middle, it was like at the super climax part, so I was dying, and I had to stop reading. So that sucked. But the book was awesome. I loved Winter, like the character, and I just thought it was so amazing. The next book I read this year and loved was More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera, which I don't own, so I'll put a picture up here. This book was so good. I probably should have seen the plot twist coming, but I didn't. It was so pretty. There were so many good quotes in that book. I just hated the ending so much. I mean, I loved it too, but I hated it so much. Conflicted feelings about that book, but clearly it was amazing because it's on this list. I mean, it's just that ending though. And another book that I read this year and loved was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alir Sáenz. This book was so good. It was so beautiful and so well written, and it just had so many good topics in it. This book is about a boy called Ari, and he meets a boy called Dante, and it's the story of their friendship, and they're growing up and trying to find their place in the world, and it's over, I think, about a year, so it's really interesting. There you go. Those were my 5 runner-up books, and now to get to my 5 best books of 2015. The first best book of this year was Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan. I picked up this book not quite sure what to expect. The only David Levithan book I'd read until that point was Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which was like, meh. I think I gave it like 3 stars. But after I read this book, I went on to read Boy Meets Boy and Every Day. Clearly, I love David Levithan now. This book is definitely my favorite of his. It was so good. I loved all the separate stories, especially Harry and Craig. I think they were the boys who were kissing. And the narrators were so cool. I've never read a book with the we narration, like third person we. Is that considered a third person? Whatever that narration was, it was amazing. I loved the little bits of backstory. I loved that ending. The last couple lines of the book are actually my favorite quote ever, hands down. The writing was amazing. I loved the story. I loved the narrator. 5 out of 5. You should read it if you haven't yet. My next book is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Now, this is one of those classics that everybody says is amazing, and I didn't think I'd like it that much, but oh my god, I love this book. It was not at all what I was expecting. I actually read this for my English class, and we discussed it so much, all the symbolism and the foil characters, and there's just so much literary goodness in this book. Like, there's so many literary techniques. It was probably the funnest book to analyze ever. This is one of those classics that you have to pick up. Next here I have Exile by Shannon Messenger. Now, this is the second book in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. I don't know how many books are going to be in it. They're still coming out. And it is so good. This isn't necessarily my favorite of the series. It's the only one I have a physical copy of. I can't actually decide if I prefer Everblaze or Neverseen. They're all so good. I am completely addicted to a middle grade fantasy series, and I have no regrets. My next favorite book of this year was Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. I also read this book for my English class, and honestly I expected to hate it because I'd seen the play performed and I knew the story and I was like, God, Romeo and Juliet, such insta-love. But it's not about their romance is what I realized that made me love it. You can debate this with me all you want. In fact, please do in the comment section. But I think that Romeo died for the idea of love and Juliet died for the illusion of freedom. And last, but totally not least, I have Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I loved the romance in this book so much. It was probably one of the best romances I read this year. I loved the magic system, I loved the mage, I loved Simon and Baz and Penny. So those are my favorite books of 2015. Tell me what you think. Did you like the books I liked or did you not? What were your favorite books? In 2016, I am going to hopefully, and I say this super tentatively, read 100 books. That's probably not going to happen because I am currently a sophomore in high school and I'm going to be a junior in high school before the year is over. So 100 books seems a little bit suicidal, but let's see. Hopefully it'll happen. Yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you next time. Bye!